So I welcome you to this review and preview video of the upcoming and past match day of the English Premier League. We do this with the assistance of the Betmaster tool. This is the tool that I myself have been working with successfully over the past more than 30 years. So it is well approved that it's doing a good job. What it actually does is compile prices for you or compile probabilities for the outcome of the upcoming football matches. And this is like the bookmaker's job. That's what they've always done. They had been trying to assess the games and understand the probabilities for a team to win. And from that they derive the prices they pay. And usually those prices are good enough to earn them money. We do doubt that slightly because we say, first of all, we can do this better. And secondly, we know that the bookmakers sometimes take care of what people bet on. So the prices that are being adjusted are not quite or fully reflecting the probabilities, but rather the behavior of people betting at the market. So there we still have the chance maybe to find some value bets where our compilation is better. Anyway, this is doing an excellent job, I'm sure, and you will see this because if you watched earlier videos, you see how the prices are being compiled and how close we are getting to market. If there are differences, we can easily check back here what that's based upon or why it is so, and maybe where we can even do some adjustments. Here we see plenty of figures. The most important ones, of course, the home factor you have to take care of. It's pretty big. It had been pretty big. It is big again. You see this value here just in the corona without crowds, attendance, spectators. It went down. Before that was big. Now it's become big again. So I set it to this value. This has been a manual measure I've taken. But there will be adjustments to follow to these values. I did reset it right now, not taking care, but it's just a couple of match days played, so it's not that doing any harm. And here you see the sum of these values of the goals they are expected to score, the goals they are expected to concede, summing up to this value, dividing into this. This is the quotient, and this is the sort criteria here, the quotient of these two values. How good are the teams is a quotient of how many goals they score divided by the goals they concede. And usually this is based on how many they have conceded divided by how many they have conceded in how many games. This is the value it's coming out here. But as soon as you have those settings somewhere and there are results coming in, then either they are better than this or they are worse. So they are going to get adjusted with this update factor here. Game by game is being evaluated, and you will see minor changes to this. Anyway, if you think something is wrong here, you can do this yourself. If you trust my settings, get your access to the Betmaster, and then you can download or you can get access to those evaluations that I have by clicking on this, and then you get the evaluations here. Then you can start. The fine point about is my tool here is that it compiles all the markets, which means as soon as we have those goal expectancies here for the games, then we have also the probabilities for over, under, halftime, full-time, correct score. It is doing this by simulation. I'm mentioning this here or there and get back to it. And also you find somewhere some videos where I explain it in some more depth. And if you do not understand something, you can happily turn to me and get a personal coaching or advices on things like that when I can introduce you to more details of that. We have the match day played. First of all, we may look at the games and the results. Then we look at the next match day. Crystal Palace won against Tottenham easily, and Tottenham were really bad, but they lost a player and only lost the game after they lost the player to sending off, and against 11 players against 10 they didn't have a chance, so bad game. Arsenal Norwich, they worked on their win, so I was wrong here. I bet on Tottenham, this was bad, it went wrong. Arsenal against Norwich. If there are some changes, this is because I had to recompile it a bit later. If you saw here in the preview, it was maybe 177 or so. I had to recompile. I've done some adjustments as well. Still, we would have had an indication slightly, but it was no good bet. Arsenal, we have 150. It may have been 147. I'm not sure. There are some slight changes that I sometimes do to adjust prices here or there, which is not a silly thing to do. Arsenal won. We were right here. Brentford against Brighton. Brighton did win the game. I was somehow, well, someone was always advising me, Brentford, they are so good, they are so good. And I didn't really trust that. So we rather would have been wrong here. But Brighton are also considered to be very strong. They won the game 1-0. Doesn't tell me too much. Still, I was somewhat wrong, but I don't think I bet on Brentford. Or I made a proposal here. Leicester against Man City. We have a 175. Which is more than market, but it's not a lot more. And I think it was a very good game that Leicester played. I think they didn't really deserve this, although that's Manchester City are, of course, very, very strong side. I mean, we all know that they can outplay any opponent. They scored the goal. Leicester were disallowed one. I can't remember now really what happened there. Was it penalty or something was wrong there in the decisions, or at least debatable. Manchester United, they did. I have some work to do. Ronaldo scored 2 goals, but it was 1-1 meanwhile, and Newcastle were a bit dangerous here or there. Still, market was better with the 119 or something they went to, but 128 is not a mistake I made. Southampton against West Ham. I favored slightly West Ham. 0-0, of course, is not a wrong result. The price on the draw may have been a bit too high that my computer compiled. I'm working on this to improve this or enable you to adjust this, which you in fact can do already. I'm going to show this. The draw probability could slightly be adjusted here or there. Watford against Wolves. Wolves won. We were a bit higher on Wolves. This is based on, well, Wolves I didn't set, so the coach left and they didn't play so well. Watford, promoted side, are not considered to be so strong. Usually they deserve a little bonus. It wasn't so well done. So you can, my computer prices had not been so good, reliable up to this point. Against Chelsea, against Aston Villa was a clear 3-0 win. I was once again a bit higher on the market, but they are so hyped by Chelsea now, and they performed again. So, well. And also Leeds against Liverpool. I mean, we had some easy wins of the heavy favorites. Although we accompanied Arsenal, we went with them, we went against the others. If the heavy favorites win, then usually it's a bad day for an odds compiler or for a bookmaker, because usually the punters, they bet on those favorites to win, so you're having a bad day. But of course, you can say, well, are your settings so good, or should the heavy favorites be even a bit stronger? And also in Leeds Liverpool, I had 183, the maximum was 178. So there as well, the computer was slightly higher than market. It didn't turn into a bet or so, nothing went wrong here. In the Everton Burnley, I was pretty okay. I may even have considered a bet on Everton, which I in fact did last night, but I didn't do it. So this is a review. And here the computer wouldn't have unfolded its full value, but of course it's just one match day, and we're gonna check out the next match day, and also in the games. First of all, there may have been some turning points, and also we were not far away from market, right? So now there have been the small changes should have been taken place. You may, if you remember, there was 1.12 in every home factor here, for example. Some slight adjustments to that according to the results, comparing those results to, you see here that both Chelsea and Liverpool went up a bit. Also Manchester City with a 1-0 went up a bit. Also Man United may have improved a bit. So some slight changes to that. Tottenham went down, for example. Anyway, this is the upcoming match day. We are going to compile the prices here. This is very easy steps, and it's just one click away that you have those values here on your desk. I don't want to see the bookmakers now because I would like to compile the prices out of my head. I can't do it now because I'm still wishing to have a button here to reset all the all the prices, just to do everything out of my head. We always have the chance to compare what we think of the game, what we think the computer does, what we think market does, and what we consider, well, would we consider a bet maybe or something like that, right? So in Newcastle Leeds, I can of course have a look here, and if you see this draw price once again being pretty high with a 412, I'm just going to show you that you can go to less draw, which means now you're doing this manually, which I'm trying to implement in the future with a function. It was working very well, but recently the draws went up. I have some suspicions about that, but this is not so meaningful at the moment. Here you can just move the slider. You see this is 412 or 24.29% for the draw. Watch what's happening now. No, oh sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Anyway, you which was the game? I was just checking here. I have to press on compile. Now it went down, less draw. Oh, I went the wrong way, you see? I went on more draw, I would like to have. I went on less draw. It's less remis, silly expression. And now you see that we had 412. Now we are going to compile it here. It's because the screen is a bit small. 375. This maybe sounds a bit more like it. And I just wanted to show you that you have a couple of things to adjust here, which you can as well by simply saying, I consider Newcastle, they are out of shape. I go down here or there a bit, certain percentage, important players missing. Also, you can also do it just for the offensive or the defensive, or you can say, you want more goals or less goals because you think they are going to play offensively. I heard that the coaches, or they have to, or whatever you think. So you can also adjust the goals you expect during the game here, which is an individual thing. You can do this via the team strength settings, but you can also do it by individually compiling the game on this basis here. Now I didn't store it. Did you see what I've done? I have to store it. So I'm going to more remis, 5%. And now I'm going to compile it. And then I'm going to save it. Now it's 379. I did have 375 before. Now it's 379. So this you could do for every game. I'm trying to make this parameter maybe even for leagues or for teams individually to be stored, and you can set them. Of course, it's making some more complexity into it, but if it's realistic, we have to do it. On the other hand, we have to observe carefully if those draws are really going to be too many. If you want to check this, you can do this as well by clicking on the table, and on the table you see here you see the number of draws. We had 19 wins, home wins, which is more than I expected. We had 9 draws, which is less than I expected. So in this league, we didn't have an overhead on the draws. We just had a fair amount. So we did not need to worry. We have to be pretty careful in observing those stats. And sometimes it happens that certain stats go up and down. And if you instantly change your algorithms or things like that, you won't be realistic or get better prices out of that. So you have to watch out, right? I'm guessing here, I mean, now you learned this in some sense, and what we found out is there is no draw problem at the moment in England. Of course, we can check that with all the leagues, and you get more stats in here that I'm working on now, that you can see more for all the leagues or a selection of games you would like to have stats for. And certain stats that are really telling you something, which you have to learn, but I'm trying to introduce them. So I think Leeds United is pretty well compiled. I would think market maybe to 20 or something like that. Newcastle were not awful. I think Leeds should be favourite, so computer's doing a good job here. Wolves against Brentford. Well, this may be too big now after Brentford's good run ended somehow. Wolves won away. their last away game, so 2.02, maybe 175 even, so a bit below. So maybe the computer advises us to go with Brentford. I don't know. Burnley against Arsenal sounds now even like a bit too much on Arsenal. Burnley, they do not trust so much. Arsenal, after this win, although 1-0 over the bottom side, it's not a convincing win. Aubameyang scored the goal, I think. They had to work hard, still they won it. I'm not sure, but I think Arsenal may be a bit lower. Liverpool against 129, this sounds like absolutely the correct price. Maybe 120 or 125 market will have. Crystal Palace beat a strong side, 3-0, so 125 could be. Manchester City, Southampton 1.1, no, not much doubt. 115 we won't get, we might consider even betting. Norwich against Watford, I mean, you see this is computer work, and it's compiling those prices on all the basis, the settings I've explained to you, but we get out very, very decent prices. Those are true prices, they are not compiled with any bookmaker's margin. Still, we can, of course, if the market price is bigger than that, we may have a bet. In Norwich, Watford, would Norwich really be favorites? Well, they won a promotion ahead of Watford, I'm pretty sure, and so they should be favorites, but of course it doesn't, well, maybe we get 250, I don't know, which is the worst side here. Aston Villa, I'm not sure, so I would consider this a pretty even game at market. Would we wish to bet on Norwich? I'm not sure. Aston Villa, I'm not sure about the final table in the championship last year. Aston Villa, Everton, would rather make it even, I guess. Do we overrate Aston Villa? Aston Villa are also a good side. I mean, I would think this is good, but we may get to 50 to 60 here. I'm not sure. Brighton against Leicester should still be favorites to 18. Sounds very, very good. Market may be a bit lower, but Brighton are well respected. They are playing good football, and they easily avoided relegation last year. So I think it's a fine price. West Ham, Manchester United, you can't be low enough on Manchester United at the moment, but West Ham are pretty good, but they will be around 165 maybe. So we had to consider a bet on West Ham. Tottenham, Chelsea, tough one, but this looks fine to me. Market even 2.0 after Tottenham's dismal performance. I don't know. I think market will be a bit lower. And Chelsea are hyped too much. We're gonna check here. I had a look at the Champions League. There you still saw my selections, but I'm gonna remove these for now. Newcastle Leeds, I was pretty right. I mean, I was right. It was fine prices. It's everything perfect here. Wolverhampton 193, I think I said it's a bit lower, but it's pretty good, so they are well respected. It's very good, so we don't have a bet there. I mean, we have 2.02, we would have a pay the price of 190, that would be our price as well, so market is exactly doing our price. Arsenal, I was guessing 2.0, we have 218, we are still very, very good there. We are good with every price. Liverpool 123, we don't have a bet. I said 120, 125, it's 123, very good. Manchester City is 115, I said maybe we get even 115. They have Champions League. Of course we don't want to bet this, but 114, 115, it's almost the same, but you see how good this tool is working. Norwich against Watford 220, so I was right that market considers the promotion. That's all we have to look at, more or less. We wouldn't have a bet here as well, unless it would be Watford, but we don't want Watford. 340 is a price. We talked about the draw price. I wouldn't bet that. And if we adjust this for such a game, because it's a game of very low teams, more or less, that are fighting relegation, you would expect a tougher game, a tighter scramble, or what that's called. And we go down with a... I've pressed on the save once again, but we have 348 now. Well, some minor changes to those prices, not so meaningful. Still, we adjusted the... I don't want to bet Watford, as simple as that. on the Aston Villa, I'm absolutely not sure. So they consider even favorites to be Aston Villa to be favorites, which I would slightly doubt. But what kind of bet would we have? We don't have a bet. 240, it's perfect. So it's once again, computer is just doing a perfect job here. 240, 248. I can't believe this. I mean, and Leicester, oh, Brighton. I mean, there would be the only chance to bet on. Brighton are overrated a bit. I mean, this is a very, very high price. But Leicester, are they playing midweek? Surely they will. I didn't care for that, but this this would be my definite bet, because I like them. Of course, I know if they have to play 2 games within a week and more things to worry about. But those squads are so strong. I mean, I don't want to go against Brighton because they were really, really good. This is like Mainz. This is exactly like Mainz in the Bundesliga. But still, Leicester are just too strong, and I like the way they played. I know Brighton are really good, but 270, this is simply too much. So we have this one indication, let's call it, right? Whenever the market price is higher than the true price, and I wouldn't really know where to adjust. Maybe I could adjust because they are playing in the Champions League, or whether are they playing. I could adjust a couple of I pressed on the save once again, which is doing a good job, but now it's 226. I mean, how much higher can we set? But it's exactly Mainz 05 in the Bundesliga, who market told me last time they are better, and I bet against them and they won. So here the same thing could happen, and I have to learn my lesson. Still, we have to try with Leicester. Of course, we can compare a few more things as soon as we want to dive into such a bet. Leicester have 6 points compared to 6.68 I expected. So they are slightly behind. 4 to 6 goals is also worse than expected. -2 goal difference is worse than the plus 1.76 that I expected. For Brentford, it's the other way around. But look at it like that. Brentford, the computer takes care of who they played against. They have 5 points, which is slightly better than expected. They have 3 goals, less than expected. They conceded 2, which is better than expected. They have +1 instead of -0.66. But nothing so spectacular happened. We can still say Brentford are better than I thought, and maybe this is also where I had to set them. If you trust that, then you can go to the team settings and simply raise their level. Manchester United, I saw already, was 180, so West Ham are well respected. This is not exaggerated, this is simply the perfect price. As I said, Tottenham are in serious trouble, not after such a game, and Chelsea are even below 2.0. And still it's such a tough game. Yeah, well, after such a dismal performance, right? But I still think they would pull together. What do you say? And for this, it's the classical, and then Tottenham, they have to perform here, but it's very, very doubtful that I try the 1x, right? And after we've seen this, we can quickly check the over-under prices, because I'm going to the save button here, although it should do it automatically. Now we have a look at the over-under prices quickly, and I still advise not to go into the over-under too early on. We have to wait for some things to turn out to be different, where market may not be so sensible. So Newcastle, 250, 174 is the true price. It's perfect. 174, 220 is not good enough. We have 236. So in both instances here, computer is simply doing the right price. We don't have a bet. In Wolves against Brentford, maybe there's an under indication. No, 240, 153. 240 is below this, 153 is below this. So we are perfect there as well. Burnley, 250, 237, 197 and 178. Computer likes the under. 173, and the price here is 178. So we would have a very, very small indication, but after we saw Arsenal and they scored a single goal, they may have played with a little more care. They conceded 9, now they scored the first one. Of course, it still sounds like a game, of course, that you can well imagine a 0-1, but it's not a huge indication, and you can also think of plenty of other results. Liverpool 3-5 to 15, 3.5 goals to 15. This is not indicated, instead it would be the under, 165, and we would here have a 158. It's a very low indication in those games with the huge differences. You may not doubt the figures really. They are working pretty well, but what you may doubt is that such games may, after a while, first of all, it may be Crystal Palace considered a bonus game, so it's like a friendly. They can do with any approach they can try. Do they go forward and all in or whatever they do, right? But also there are score lines. If it's a 2-0, well, who really cares? The game is over as a contest, so maybe they open up and concede some more. So there are many such scenarios. Would you rather say, well, I'm a pretty bit vague? What's the word? There on how to really evaluate the total goals, right? So you would not wish to, although you have an indication here, it's not a huge one, you may still abstain from that. 3.5 there in Manchester City, we actually have an over, which sounds a bit silly, because, well, would you imagine Southampton are going to score, or should Manchester City do all the work? And the same story here, but I can hardly argue for or against the under in the one game. I say don't bet the under, the other one I say don't bet the over. But if it's vague, I'm not so sure about how they are going to play. So maybe if it's a 2-0 here, then Manchester City slow down. They say, okay, points in our back, we don't care so much. So in both cases, it's not such a good advice. We have a pretty huge indication here, right? 194. So maybe I leave it in here and we wipe off the tears on Monday. Wipe away. Norwich, that may be an over indication, I'm pretty sure. No, 2.5, 2.07, 2.1 is the true price. We don't have an indication there. Aston Villa 2.5, 1.94. Not indicated. Also the under 2.5, 193. It's not an indication. I'm sure it's 183. Brighton 2.5, 2.1, the true price. It's 2.25, the true price. So the market is completely in line with the computer, which is a very good sign for what my computers work. West Ham, we have over 2.5 of 173. Computer says it's 163. We have 175. No bet. 270 on the under. 217 on the under. 234. Once again, very good work by the computer. We simply agree. Here it's the same thing. 2.0, 175 on the 2.5 goal line. So it's 212, 190. Perfect. So we find these two bets here. There's an under. There's an over. Well, I can't complain about this one because this sounds pretty regular, but it's not a huge edge anyway. And of course, you can imagine that Arsenal, now they start rolling or something like that. And also in the Manchester City, I talked about it already. Maybe they put up with a 2-goal win with all the competitions, so we do not really like it. But maybe Southampton are trying something. Anyway, we found these four proposals here. And this is with the assistance of the tool. If you change any of those settings, of course you will get different evaluations, but I think this is a pretty good proof how good this tool is working. There's some fine work to be done, maybe even if you consider a look at the lineups, or you listen to what the coaches say, or who's in very good shape or out of shape also, and you take all those things into consideration. Still, I think it's proven to be a pretty precious tool. Thanks a lot for watching, and leave your comments or likes or share it or subscribe. It's absolutely free, all of this. Thank you very much. Get your copy today. Bye bye.